Good morning, everybody. It's David coming back at you from Zone 5B in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. And the weather this week here in the southwest suburbs of Chicago is going to take an interesting turn this week. Today, we have a high in the 80s. It's a little overcast and cloudy, but starting tomorrow, we're going to hit the 90s, and it's going to stay in the 90s with little to no rain for about the next week. So we want to take some precautions for our gardens. I have to say, it's been a while since I sat down with the tripod and a microphone and did a long form video because YouTube seems to prefer shorts. So a lot of my more recent content has been kind of quick hits. I don't know how long today's is going to be, but I do enjoy talking to all of you. So hopefully you enjoy hearing it. While we're here, let's take a quick look. There is a huge bumblebee flying around. That is Juno, our new garden dog. There's a huge bumblebee, which we love to see because, of course, pollination. This is an orange mint that I bought as a start just a few weeks ago as a tiny, tiny start. I put it in this 2-gallon container, and look at it now. It has really, really thrived. And I have to give the warning. If you're going to plant anything in the mint family, you probably don't want it in the ground because it will spread through the underground rhizomes and it will take over your garden. So you do probably want your mint in a container. That would include spearmint, peppermint, regular mint, orange mint. I think there's lemon mint, and catnip is actually also in the mint family. A video earlier last week I did show I have some pomegranate trees that are doing pretty well. On my table, I do have some herbs. I just put spinach in this one, so we're waiting for it to pop up. I have some French lavender there that I want to get to take off before I put it in the ground. Then I have rosemary and oregano on the table as well. Over there at the end of my deck, I have my volunteer sunflower in the green bucket and some volunteer ground cherries in the grow bag in the orange bucket. And then I have radishes on the rail bucket. This is going to be okra, and then some more radishes. And the upside down container on the deck rail container is covering tomato seeds that I just put in the ground. So I'm hoping that we can get those germinated. Now with carrot seeds in particular, they are very tiny, so they need to be scattered on the surface and just barely covered up. In my case, I used vermiculite, which is a very light covering. So hopefully it will not smother those very fragile, tiny seeds. So the rest of the garden, what I am going to do is the same thing that I did last year. If you watched my video in the heat of the summer last year, I started talking about a product called kaolin clay. It is used in some makeup manufacturing as well, but it is a powder that if you mix it with water and put it in a pump sprayer of some sort, you can spray your plants with it, like all of my young tomatoes here in my bucket garden. And if it's mixed right, it will cover those young delicate leaves, it'll cover the young delicate fruit, and it will protect it a little against insects and high heat. Because plants, just like us, can get sunburn, which is usually called sun scald when it comes to plants or fruits. So I am just going to spray all of my young tomatoes here with this kaolin clay. Try to give it a nice coating. This is safe to use. I did use it on my fruit trees last year as well. We're going to use this along the fence to cover my young squash that I have over there. And I'm probably going to throw some on the strawberries and tomatoes over in the raised beds as well. So one of the other things that you can do, one of the other precautions you can try to take, is to grab some shade cloth and cover your young plants as well. And again, the idea isn't to block all sun from getting to them. It's just to protect them from the high heat and give them a little extra bug protection as well, because it does cover them with kind of a chalky coating that the bugs would find distasteful. So we are just going to finish spraying it over here, and then I will take you guys over to the raised beds so we can do those as well. Now, the only trick is with the kaolin clay, it can settle out of the water, so you do want to shake the container as you're going around and spraying so it stays in solution. Let's get in the raised beds, and I'm going to show you the tomato raised bed is absolutely doing gangbusters. The one change I think I'm going to make next year is probably a little more spacing, because especially with some of the beefsteak tomatoes that I've got in there, they are just so big and they're spreading so much that it's getting kind of tight. I do still have a whitefly problem here in this garden as well. I am getting some more insecticidal soap that I'm going to use to try to get rid of the whitefly infection. If you guys remember back videos ago, the basil that I planted here is absolutely doing fabulous as well. This is one of the basils here. With basil, you want to watch for flowering, because if your basil does flower, it will turn the basil bitter. So you want to come through, check it every day or every couple of days. And if you see the flower buds starting to form, you do want to pick it off. And a lot of my basil has tried to flower, but the basil is just amazing. I have regular basil, I have blue spice basil in there, I have a Thai basil, and then I have a black licorice basil. And I think I've tried all of them now, and they are just really, really good. Hey, Juno, I'm going to spray the tomatoes and the pepper plants both with this kaolin clay as well, because again, it's going to be hot with no relief here for about the next week, week and a half. So we want to make sure we're giving them a little extra protection. Even the tropical plants, and Millennial Gardener is one of the channels that I really enjoy watching, and he talks about this a lot. Even the tropical plants aren't used to non-stop, all day long sun and hot temperatures. In the wild, and he says this a lot on his channel, they grow under the cover of trees, so they do have more dappled sunlight and shade. So providing them with a little shade in the hottest part of the summer is not a bad idea at all. So again, we're just going to go around. We are going to spray this on the entire garden. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. I have green onion in here with the strawberry. We're going to get it all over the leaves of the strawberry. We're going to keep it mixed up so it doesn't fall out of solution. And then when it dries, you'll be able to come back and see what kind of coverage you have, because this will dry as kind of a white, thin covering. And again, this is just for a little extra protection to keep the growing leaves from burning, to keep any fruit that we have, like these young peppers, from scalding in the heat. Hopefully you set up your garden or grow area in a way that can provide some shade as well. I was very careful in this raised bed to put the strawberries in the front along the south edge, so they weren't overly shaded by the peppers that are going to grow behind them, because I knew the peppers would obviously get a lot longer or a lot taller. What I didn't count on is the grapevine growing as much as it has, and it's actually been shading the peppers probably about a little bit more than I would like. So I have had to stay on the pruning of that grapevine just to make sure that my peppers are getting sun, because it's a fine line. You want them to have sun so those leaves can take it in so they can produce fruit, but you don't want it to have so much sun that it's going to burn the plants, because that could kill leaves, that could ruin the fruit. And then we're going to end over here. I'm not going to worry about my garlic. I did just disconnect the garlic from my irrigation system, so I'm going to let it go maybe another week, and then I will get the garlic out and show you guys how that turned out. But over here, I really want to coat my 2 squash plants here, which have really taken off with this warmer weather. I'm not so much worried about the marigolds in the back. In the front here are radishes. I am going to spray those too. I think I've got some flea beetles on there that have been decimating the leaves. Not a huge deal, even though I do want radishes. I have asparagus beans in between. And then my volunteer tomato, which is actually fruiting and flowering, I'm going to spray down as well. And then last but not least over here, we are going to spray down our very young, very tiny watermelon plants here, because we want those to be okay in this heat. I do have peanuts that I don't know how they're going to do. My sugar snap peas on this trellis have been amazing and delicious. We've been picking from them regularly. And then this is a pumpkin start that I bought just a couple of weeks ago that's really taking off. So I'm going to coat that with the kaolin clay. And then I have some cantaloupe here and a little farther back. And we want to spray that as well, just to keep it protected. So as a new gardener, let me get the camera turned around here. Up you do see my elderberries doing great. My container grapes are doing great, although I do need to get those trellised up. You can see they grew over to the chicken wire and are growing along the fence. My banana plant, that was one of the things that I failed. I did not take very good care of it when it was in the house all winter long. I didn't have room for it up by the grow room, so it was downstairs in the basement, just outside of my son's room, and honestly, I was horrible and neglected it. And then when it came outside, we had some really strong winds blow through, and it just, the parent plant, one of the pips that was growing had died already. So we do have one little pip growing there. Most of the top snapped off, but it looks like it might make a comeback. So I am hopeful that by the end of the summer, we will again have a banana plant in our garden. This is my first time growing bananas. I know up here in Zone 5B, that's kind of a tough ask because we don't have that year-round warm weather. So we would have to move it inside in the winter like I did. We just need to stay more on top of the watering and care for it. So we are going to finish spraying my sweet potatoes. And now let's go take a look at our tree walk on the side of the house. Now the kaolin clay, if you spray it on stuff like my rain barrel, it does cover that as well. It will wash off. And that's the only downside to the kaolin clay. If you were expecting rain, it will wash off, so you're going to have to reapply. But let's take a look at my... So, fruit trees are all doing pretty well. I did come through and kind of heavily prune, because the pear tree in particular, with the pink tags on it here, had so much crazy wild growth. And if you remember, or if you saw my earlier video, we just got that pear tree this year. It has 3 different types of Asian pear on it. So I didn't expect it to flower this year anyway, but I did see some pretty crazy growth from it. So we are just going to spray down the trees too a little bit. Again, the bonus is the kaolin clay can also help protect from pests, which is always welcome on any fruit trees or garden plants. Give this a shake. So I have a friend who has a channel devoted to fig trees. He's a friend I met on a gardening forum, and his channel has really taken off. It is My Fig Stix, S-T-I-X. So if you are interested at all in growing figs, I would call him somewhat of an expert. He is down in Texas. He's a good guy. He builds his own containers for his fig trees. And like I said, his channel has really taken off. But if you have any interest at all in figs, or maybe even just fruit tree growing, because I'm sure you could take a lot of the lessons from his fig growing and apply them to a lot of different fruits, give that channel a check. So Danny, I gave you a shout out there, buddy. It was nice talking to you this week. I am just going to spray the rest of my trees, hoping that it's enough covering. I do want to show you guys while we're here. I just noticed we had a peach, little baby peach that fell off right there on the ground. But what I wanted to say, this grow bag is currently sitting inside a pot because we had an animal, possibly a raccoon, come through and absolutely shred the side of that grow bag. Probably because I was using blood meal in there and bone meal, and that of course smells like food to them. But this right here in that grow bag that you can see sprouting is one of those pawpaw trees that I just bought this spring. I'll show you the other one here in a second. Just let me try to give my peach. Now, if you look at my peach tree, I do have some peaches on there. Even though one had fallen off, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 peaches on there. And last year, it did fruit for me, but I only had 1 peach, and then we ended up losing it, I think, in a storm. So this year, I am hopeful with just the 6 on there that we will have at least 1 or 2 peaches to try out. Blueberries are struggling a little bit more. I probably need to add some fertilizer because the leaves are turning yellow on this one. But it could also be the heavy rains that we've had the last few weeks. My blood orange tree has rebounded pretty well. Again, this is another one I had to move inside. My Meyer lemon did not rebound as well, but it's at least started. And then again, this is another small pawpaw tree. This is the first one I bought that I thought was dead. And then here is that other big pawpaw tree. So they're doing well. I have a little kohlrabi that I started, and then I will discuss what's going on in front of the house here in just a second. Kohlrabi, let's spray that on. Okay. So here in the front of the house, this is just my insane curiosity. Obviously, I love fruit trees. I love trying to grow fruit trees. But I wanted to see if I would be able to propagate and grow my own fruit trees. So what I did is I went onto one of the gardening sites and I looked up apple rootstock and peach rootstock, and that's what these are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's 4 of each. There's 4 peaches and there's 4 apples. And what the rootstock is just the base, the roots, that you take your desired variety and graft onto. Because these rootstocks grow really well. They may grow faster, be more disease and sickness proof. And then within the last 2 weeks, I went on Etsy and I found some scion wood from apples and plums and peaches. And I'm hoping to get it grafted onto the rootstocks here soon. Now, to be honest, this isn't the best time. Let me flip the camera around. This isn't the best time of year to be grafting. Generally, spring would work better for the kind of grafting that would be required there, unless I do bud grafting, where you just take a bud off of the scion wood and then put it on the rootstock. So we will see how my grafting goes. I'm hoping that at least a couple trees survive. They are varieties that I don't currently have, but also varieties that would work well with the ones that I have, because a lot of times you'll see fruit that's considered self-pollinating, so it doesn't have to have another tree, but it does better if it does have another tree. So we are going to wrap things up here. I finished spraying all the plants with that kaolin clay. I still have a little left, so I'm going to spray some on the deck here. If you guys like the video, make sure you smash that like button or hype my video. That would help as well. Make sure you subscribe so you know when I post again. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all your support. Remember, grow a little every day. Never stop growing. And I'll see you guys back here next time on Come Grow with David A. Have a good summer. Stay cool.